My wife cheated, so I took our marriage for a test drive, but I'm regretting it. The moment I found out about my wife's affair, everything in my life seemed to come crashing down. I had always prided myself on being a good husband. We'd been married for 8 years, and I thought I knew her inside and out. We were that couple, at least, I thought we were. We had built a life together, a home, dreams. I had no reason to believe that she was anything but faithful. But that all changed one afternoon when I found a message on her phone that made my heart stop. I'll never forget the sick feeling in my stomach as I read the exchange between her and another man. His name was Jake, a guy she worked with. The messages were flirtatious, filled with inside jokes and intimate conversations. As I kept reading, it became clear that what had started as an innocent friendship had escalated into something much more. It was no longer just a flirtation, it was an affair. The words jumped off the screen, each one like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. When I confronted her, she didn't even try to deny it. She admitted to everything. She told me it had been going on for months and that she was sorry, but the damage was already done. I felt like I had been blindsided. I had trusted her completely, and she had shattered that trust in an instant. All the plans we had, the future we envisioned, it all seemed like a distant memory. The days that followed were a blur of emotions. I was angry, devastated, and lost. I couldn't bring myself to look at her without feeling like everything between us was a lie. But I also didn't know what to do. I wasn't ready to give up on our marriage. After all, we had been through so much together. But I needed something. Something to help me process the pain, something to numb the constant ache in my chest. That's when the idea hit me. I had to find a way to get back at her. At first, the thought of revenge was purely about hurting her the way she had hurt me. I wanted her to feel the same sense of betrayal, the same emptiness I felt every time I looked at her. So, I did something reckless. I started seeing someone else. I met Sarah at a bar one weekend. She was lively, carefree, and didn't remind me of Emily at all. She had that spark about her, the kind of energy that made it easy to forget the heaviness that had settled in my life. We hit it off immediately, talking for hours over drinks, sharing our stories. It felt like a fresh start, a way to escape the suffocating weight of my marriage. At first, it felt good. It felt liberating, even. I told myself it was just a distraction, a way to take my mind off the devastation. But soon, I realized that what had started as a way to hurt my wife had become more complicated than I had anticipated. The lines between right and wrong started to blur. I began seeing Sarah more frequently, spending nights at her place when I couldn't bear to be around Emily. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. Sarah was kind and understanding. She listened to me, gave me space when I needed it, but also made me feel alive again. It was like a breath of fresh air compared to the stale, suffocating silence I had at home. But the guilt started to creep in. I'd come home after spending time with Sarah, and the weight of what I was doing hit me like a ton of bricks. I was betraying my wife, the woman who had stood by my side for years. No matter how much pain she had caused me, I had no right to do this to her. I was turning into the very person I despised, the one who broke trust. The emotional toll was more than I could handle. I had always prided myself on being a man of integrity, but now I found myself lying, sneaking around, and justifying my actions. My once clear moral compass had become clouded by my own anger and hurt. I was drowning in confusion, torn between the woman I thought I loved and the one who had been there for me when I needed comfort the most. Meanwhile, Emily seemed to be trying to fix things. She would come to me with apologies, begging for forgiveness. She said she was committed to making our marriage work, that she would do whatever it took to rebuild the trust we had lost. But I couldn't bring myself to forgive her, not yet. The betrayal was too fresh, too raw. She wanted me to believe that she was sorry, that she had learned from her mistakes, but I wasn't sure I could ever look at her the same way again. One evening, Emily found out about Sarah. She had been suspicious of my late nights and secretive behavior, and it didn't take long for her to connect the dots. She confronted me, tears in her eyes, her voice shaking with a mixture of anger and hurt. Is this how you're going to get back at me? She asked, her words cutting through the air. By doing the same thing to me that I did to you? I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to defend my actions, to tell her that I was just doing what I had to do to survive, but another part of me felt like I had let things spiral too far. What was the point of revenge if it only made me feel worse? What was the point of hurting her if it just made me feel more lost than I already was? In that moment, everything came crashing down. I realized that I wasn't just punishing her, I was punishing myself. The affair, the lies, the guilt, it all came together in one overwhelming wave of realization. I had lost my sense of self. I had lost the man I used to be, the one who believed in love, trust, and the idea that two people could heal together after something like this. Instead, I was becoming someone I didn't recognize. I ended things with Sarah, not because I didn't care about her, but because I knew I had to. I needed to take a step back and figure out what I really wanted. I wasn't ready to give up on my marriage yet, but I also wasn't sure if I could ever forgive Emily for what she had done. The emotional roller coaster had taken its toll on me, and I had no idea where to go from here. A week passed, and Emily and I had some long, honest conversations. She told me that she had been feeling neglected for months before the affair had started, that she had been craving emotional intimacy and had turned to Jake for it. I didn't excuse her actions, but I began to understand the reasons behind them. It didn't make it right, but it did help me see things from her perspective. Now, here I am, stuck in this web of confusion. I still love Emily, but I'm not sure if I can ever fully trust her again. I still feel the pull to be with her, but the memory of the affair hangs over everything. I took my marriage for a test drive, but I'm not sure if I can handle the consequences. Should I try to rebuild what we had, or have I crossed a line that can never be uncrossed? Is forgiveness even possible, or is it just a dream I'm holding on to? I'm stuck in limbo, unsure of what my future holds. So here I am, asking for advice. Should I try to save my marriage and work through the pain, or is it time to walk away and move on from the woman who hurt me? I wish I had the answer, but right now, all I have are questions.